Hi, Charles here. Well, this is an introduction to the introduction. I finished all the filming last night and the wiring, and the underglow lights all went fine, and I ran a hole in the floor to bring the wire up, and as you'll see in the wiring I did yesterday, that particular RGBIC kit from Nilight only comes with 2 bare wires at the end. So I ran those up the hole, and then I wired a 12-volt plug like this. If you don't want to do that and you're happy, you can be happy with it, get the less expensive kit, 35 bucks instead of 47 or 52, what those prices change. That kit, you'll run this wire up through the hole that's got a plug, and then it's got a 12-volt plug that will plug right into that, and you're good. You don't have to do any wiring at all, okay? So you shouldn't have any problem with any of that. And then as far as the taillight, as you'll find out in the video, we had an issue with it not working with the running light. It's either the Y connector or it's the long extension wire, which I don't think it is, and it might be the Nilight strip light itself. So they're going to send me a replacement probably this week, and we will solve that. My son-in-law, he's involved with wiring police cars and all that. We'll get it solved, but they were very happy with how bright, as you saw in the intro and then later on in the video. So that's just a kind of a little update, and it turned out great, and we'll solve that other issue for them. Now on to the real intro. Hi, Charles from Seymour, Indiana. Well, what do you know? I have a Runaway back in our driveway again. Today I'm going to show you a more simplified way of adding some extra brake lights here, and just for fun, some underglow. Thanks for watching. So you may have seen a video or two of Susie and mine about Runaway, and we're still averaging 1,000 views a day on up of our videos, and we love that because we love the Shives and the Runaway campers. You may have seen the videos where I had the big LED lights, and at one of the homecoming rallies, several guys helped me out. We did 11 or 12 that weekend. We didn't socialize that much that weekend. We were underneath, or I was underneath, but I was glad to do it. And here's what people have found. They're more visible, and lane changes really work better. That's why I'm really big on safety. So on my roof rack, I put, I had the reflective tape, so I put that up there, so that shows up a long way. And that gave me the idea one night, oh, I should add lights. So I did that, and so when you put those lights up there, you are tapping into the lights, the tail lights. It's really very easy to do. You just have to make sure you get them connected to the right wires and test it before you heat shrink and do all that stuff. But a lot of people don't want to mess with that, and I understand that. So the other day, I don't know what I was doing. I think I was out with the transit and had lights on. I went, wait, this could be a way to do this, okay? So we'll see how hit or miss this is, but this is from Nilight, and it is a tail light. This they did not give me, but they did give me the underglow kit, so I do have to say that, and I have to put paid promotion. All that means is they gave it to me. I don't monetize, I don't accept commissions, okay? So if I give you a link, it's a link. It doesn't give Charles 14 cents because you bought something. So this taillight has sticky back, so I'm going to wipe this out. I'm not going to videotape all this, sorry, because you'll go to sleep too soon. But I'm going to clean this with alcohol. And the only tricky part is, it would be nice, they make a longer one, but it would be too long. And so we have to deal with that, but I've got some cord mate. And if you watched my videos, this is like, I don't know, $7 or $8, and it's got sticky tape, and it's open, kind of like electrical loom, and so you can hide your wires here, and so that's going to go on the side down to the end, and then I'm going to have enough here to cut and run this way, and then I have an elbow as well. You'll see all that, and it will stick. I didn't screw these in, and as far as I know, most everyone that I've installed this on or have done this, they've stayed fine. I can't promise they'll stay for 40 years from now, but they hold real well. But I usually put a little bit of silicone along the edge just to hold it tight, and I suppose you could put some kind of fastener over it if you are really crazy about it, but that's fine. Or really, you could use white duct tape, put just a couple of pieces on it, just peace of mind. So that's kind of what's going on here. I'll run these wires down, and we already tested, we already know, right? We know that the wires coming out of this side are the left turn signal. So I've got to make sure to have it like this, okay? So I'm going to get to work here, and you'll see the results shortly. Well, we made a modification to the modification. Gary wisely said to me, well, I said, what are we going to do when this is coming down, how's it going to work with the tube? And it, you know, I hadn't really thought that through. I don't always think things through. And he said, why don't we put it here, and it's going to work perfectly because we're going to go over, and look at that. Ta-da! The connection will reach underneath. So we're good. So it's not up high. So there may be an advantage if you really want to have visibility as high as possible. But really think about putting that reflective tape up there. It really shows from miles away. But this is, in a rainstorm, this is going to be great. Okay? So, and when we get this done, we'll back it up into the shade more, and you'll see it lighting up better. So let me finish up this part, and then we'll see where we're going next. So it was a tight fit because there's an inline fuse, but I was able to fit it in here. And for right now, I've got some white duct tape holding here, and I'm going to be putting some silicone along here. But that sticky back is really going to hold it. So now I've got wires. I've got black tape, electrical tape around it, and I'm going to tell them to probably get some loom. I don't think I have any, just to kind of protect it. But I'm going to double, triple tape it. So now I'm just finding my way along the path of wiring that's already here, and I'm just zip tying. It's really easy. I thought I would have to use these square mounts, but I don't think I'll have to for this, and maybe I'll luck out with the other. So, of course, this is taking longer than I thought because I've been fighting this, but this is a good alternative because it fits underneath here. I'd love it up there, but it was just going to be awkward with the plug. Where was it going to go? We could cover it some way, but you're smarter than me. You could probably come up with a way, but this works, and trust me, we've now tried it 3 times just to make sure that it's right, even though we know it is. I have to see it happen. So I'm just going to have a zip tie party under here, and I'll have this part done. And all I did was I just went along the Runaway factory wiring and just cable tied to the wiring that's already there. And so it just goes all the way up to the front, and I'll go up there in a second. Okay, so there you can see I just brought the wiring up around nice and neat. And then I wanted to keep it up and out of the way, so you can see I brought it underneath the rack. And then there's the bundle extra. Some people would cut that and make it shorter, and that's something you can do, but I'm not doing it. I wanted to keep it intact. Then it goes underneath to that Y connector, and he's going to kind of zip tie that up to hold it, but it'll have enough leeway so when they make sharp turns it won't put any stress. So let me go out there and show you that last thing. So here's where you would plug in from your tow vehicle into the Runaway. And so I've got the wiring here, and I've got a Y kit. So there, it's there, and we have 2 plugs. So right here, let me get it in the sunlight maybe. There's the original Runaway wiring going underneath to the back, and I am not interfering with it. I'm not touching it. And so then I've got a separate run here, and this is going to the back. And so he's going to use the strap or something just to hold it up out of the way, and it will be all good. So next project. Okay, so I just wired this, and again, you don't have to do this. Get the kit that doesn't have, if you want the fancy, do this, not a big deal. But otherwise, just get the $35 kit, 4 basic, 8 colors, and 10 levels of brightness, and then it's got some motion stuff, like it fades from one color to the next. This one just does a little fancier stuff, so let me plug it into this jackery, and I'm getting ready to go underneath and finish this up. Here's, they've got all kinds of motions, and then they've got just plain colors, and if you use the app, you can mix millions of colors and be a real show-off. So I don't think you're going to drive around with this on. I don't think the police would like that, but I mean, the cool kids drive their cars like that, but I don't know how legit it is in every state. So this is for your pleasure at a campground, and if you get threatened or kicked out of a campground, it's on you, not Charles. So you can see here the wire, it is silicone underneath, going to the jackery. So let me go underneath. Got this wired. Typically you run a strip across the front, the end, and both sides. But we've got these beams in the way. And so we made an executive decision, so we put them angled across the back panel. We're here at the back of the camper. I'm so used to saying van. And so we've got it here, and up there you can see we put a strip on this side of that beam and on the other. And one is closer to
the driver's side door, and the other one is closer to the passenger side door of the Runaway. And so it's kind of lighting up both. So here's one of the motion patterns, and Susie calls this a circus pattern here. And then there's I think 10 levels of brightness, and there's ones that react to music, and you can download an app and have them running. So we got that. Whatever you choose, it's running to all 4 of the strips. And then here's what we did at camping last night. We had it red and turned pretty way down, though there were people putting a light show on beside us, so we were very dim compared to them. So there you go. This is the kit. And if you get the less fancy kit, you can just plug in the 12-volt plug. Otherwise, you do what I did, wiring it, and it's just whatever you want to do. It works great. So I'm showing you, here's the driver's side door, and we go underneath, and now I'm showing you on this side of the beam, there's the light. So I've got that strip is running close to that door, and the one on the other side that you've already seen, it's closer to this door. So it'll feed a little more light underneath, and it's not dark yet, but you actually can see it doing some on the concrete underneath. I know, I'm pretty sure they're going to turn these on when they get back home at night, and just to check it all out. And they've already downloaded the app, and they're able to control it that way. So it's just a fun addition, and you might want to give it a try. Not too expensive to do.
Well, that took a few hours, but I was just sort of figuring it out as I went. Everything is good. The only thing we don't have working is when the headlights are on, this should be on. And we tested and mine work as well. But it's all hardwired. So we switch connectors around, and we think it might have to do with the Y connector. We don't know. I may have mentioned before, my son-in-law, he and his dad and uncle own a business wiring ambulances, police cars, all that. He knows this. He did some of the wiring on my van. So I'm going to ask him about it. And I mean, it's possible it's this strip. I just don't think so. I think it's one of the plugs. I don't know which plug. So I may drag them back down from Indy and just have my son-in-law meet us here, and he will solve it. But I may ask Nilight just to send me another one of these and just see how it goes. But I think the owners are happy, aren't you? I got a little applause there. And even without the light not on all the time, when they hit their brakes, when they turn signal, you're going to see them better, okay? And this is a good alternative to my big way of doing it. That shows up, and it's not even, it's early, well, it's only 6:30, so it's not dark at all. But it definitely shows up. And for the 400th time, I did not touch the factory wiring. If this fails, the taillights still work, okay? So I think that's very appealing for some of you. You know that if you screw this up, not the end of the world, and the cute lights underneath, it's not the end of the world if for some reason they fail, you know. But it's simple 12-volt wiring, okay? So as always, this video is too long, but I don't care on this one because I really want to show people an alternative, and I want you to be safe out there. I really do. I worry about people, and I don't know you, but these lights are great, but why not add more and be safe, okay? So there you go. And as always, thanks for watching. I thought I'd go ahead and show you what I'm going to use. Now I want to tell you that my whole purpose of showing you the underglow lighting, if you're interested in that, and your life will be totally complete without it, but it's just something you might want to do. So I'm going to show that, and then I also want to show you how to put the strip brake light, like I've got on my Transit. I used to have it on my F-150. And I wanted to show you an alternative way, if you may have seen on the Runaway World or Runaway RCO Midwest page. And this is a strip, and it's not going to go all the way across the Range Runner that I'm about to wire, but it will do a lot of it. If you want maximum effect, you would go with the big LEDs like I did, and you saw I went big and had, I think, 20 inches across and then down. So I had horizontal and vertical. Most people that put those lights on just do one on each side. That's perfect. I just went real big on mine. And so those required a little bit of splicing and wiring. And today, what you're going to see me do for the Underglow light kit, I'm going to do a little bit, but you don't have to, because this is the fancier kit that does, each diode can be a different color. If you use the basic kit, which is a good one, that I have underneath my Transit, it's solid colors, 8 solid colors you can choose from, and then it has fades. It'll fade from one gently to the other. 10 levels of brightness. It's all you need if you just want some safety Underglow light at night going in and out. And that one, you have a choice of bare wires to connect so that you can plug into a EcoFlow or Jackery or something like that. And bare wires, or they've got one part that plugs into a plug. You don't have to do any wiring. Plug and play, and you'll have this. And so you'll be able to run that wire, if you want to, up through the floor, which is what I'm going to do on this camper. Up through the floor, I seal with silicone. It will not leak. It will not cause any rotting, especially if you've got a fiberglass one. They can't rot. And so that one, you run the wire up, then plug in this. Well, this kit is bare wires only, so I'm going to be cutting this off right here, and then I'm going to, after I run the wire up, then I'm going to just do some simple butt connectors. And I'll show you some of that, but you won't have to even do that if you buy the other kit, which is $30, I think. The other kit is like $52. And so if you want to do the Underglow, you're good. And I'm going to move the camera down and show you the parts here. But it's pretty simple, and it's essentially plug and play with a bunch of zip ties. So let me move the camera down so you can stop looking at me, and I'll show you what I'm going to use, okay? Okay, so first what I want to show you will be doing the brake light. And again, let me show you, I've got this 48-inch strip light. It's got a standard 4-way flat connector, and it's going to connect to an extension. And I would show you that extension, but my friends are picking up a 25-footer that requires no wiring, but it's essentially going to be just like this, and it's going to have, this will be 25 feet long, which is longer than I need, but all the others are like 8 foot or 3 feet, and so I'll just bundle any extra underneath. And so just pretend that this is going to go from the back of your tow vehicle to this light. And you're thinking, now wait a second, that's going to be a problem because I've already got the Runaway wiring in. So what you're going to use, and again, you can zip tie any extra underneath your vehicle. This will now plug into your tow vehicle into the 4-way plug, okay? And instead of having one end that you would then plug into your Runaway, there's 2. So you would plug your Runaway factory wiring into this, and then I'm going to run that 25-footer from this one underneath the frame, underneath the entire Runaway, along the side. And I don't know if I'll be able to put zip ties underneath the frame, but otherwise I will probably use zip ties with these bases. You may have seen these. I mean, I'll show a close-up as I'm talking. But they make different sizes. These are 1 by 1 inch, and they have a sticky back on them, and then the zip tie fits right in them. So I can put a bunch of these along the edge underneath, and I will zip tie the cable nice and tight, cut off the extra, and that's the way to do it. And I will probably, just to be extra sure, I may take some white duct tape and put it over top of this, just an extra measure to hold it super tight. But these guys really hold like you can't believe. And then this wiring will come out and come down. Well, we don't want that hanging loose, do we? So if you watch my video of my other wiring, I use this CordMate. It's a CordMate C10, and it's got some sticky back as well. And so I will run this along the whichever edge I need to, left or right edge, and the wiring, this wiring will come up, and I just haven't decided how I'm going to work where this plug goes. I think this is long enough to go all the way down, but I'm not sure. But one way or another, we'll make it work. Then it will plug into the extension, and then this will basically hide the wiring. And if all works well, I will be using a corner piece like this, if I can, and I should be able to hide it up at the top. I mean, I'll make it as neat as I can, and if we need to throw in some white duct tape, we can. If that gets dirty, you can just peel it off. And what I'm going to do also, and I did this with the other installs that I did, it's not necessary, but I'm going to use some silicone and just run it along the edge, not because of leaking, because there's no leaking involved, but I just have a run along the side just to extra measure to hold this super tight, okay? The cable will be inside this, and then I'll just run some silicone all along the edge. And so that's pretty much it with the tail light that we're going to be putting in. And I'll show you before and after pictures, and you can see what a difference it does indeed make, okay? So this can be left plugged in permanently to your wiring kit, your Y kit like this, or you can unplug it and just plug it in whenever you need it, okay? But I'm just going to cable tie this around and on their hitch, and all will be well, okay? So let me move some stuff. Let me talk briefly about the Underglow light. Okay, so now we're switching to the light, and again, I'll just say it again. I know that I do this everything in excruciating detail, but zip through it if you don't want to watch all of it. So these are the fancier one. They've got the integrated circuit, so that means it can do. Each of these can turn to a different color, so you can have all these crazy patterns, which will probably, you gotta be careful, you'll drive camping neighbors crazy. But you can do solid colors, and there's a remote that you can use, or there's an app, and you can actually dial in millions of colors, but a whole bunch of patterns. And you can go back and watch my other video, which I'll link down below, what I did on my Transit. This is the fancier one, around $52 or so, and the other one is 30 something. This one comes with bare wires, like I mentioned, and so I need to be able to plug this in. And what people, the cool kids that put it in, underglow lights under their vehicle and they drive around with it, or they're in parking lots to be cool, they actually wire these directly to wiring in their car, so that when the car is on, the lights are on, you turn it off, the lights are off, okay? That's not what I'm doing here. I'm making it independent of the car's battery system. And so what I'm doing, what I need to do is have this on the end. So this is just a little extension that I have, and this may kill some of you, but what I will do once I drill a hole, and I don't know which size bit, but I'm going to be drilling a hole that's not much bigger than this, okay? And it's going to be bringing this wire in, and actually it'll be this wiring. So look how thin that is. It's very thin. I'm just going to run a hole through the floor. They have a fiberglass composite, and I'll silicone seal it underneath. It will not leak, and I'm going to do the teeniest hole I can do, so that I have to really pull it. I'm going to have these skinny wires, and now I'm going to carefully pull it up, and they give you a fair amount to deal with, okay? And then I will hardwire this, and what I'm going to do, I don't really want to, I'm not going to film at this moment, but what you do is, and I think my other video I talked about it, I use butt connectors. So you stick a blue one, the black wire into the end of one, crimp it, heat shrink it. These are actually heat shrinkable. And then red, and then you match it on the other end with this. And you run these wires that you've exposed, and so they are meeting in the middle. And then I typically put a heat shrink tube over top of it. Now I'm telling you all this, but you don't need to do it. Get the other kit, and you will have this with a plug, and you can plug in to the wiring, the harness. Plug it in, you're done. I would put black tape around it, but then you're done. But you also have the option with the other one to do this. You can wire it and make your own plug, or however you're going to plug it in. And so what's going to happen is this will be up top inside the camper in the corner, long enough so they can plug it into their EcoFlow or Jackery or whatever they have, and they can run it. These use very little watts. If you've got a Jackery or an EcoFlow of any size, you can run it for days with this thing. So this way it's just handy for you. And I also ordered a splitter. So I've got one, it's like this. You plug it into your EcoFlow or Jackery, and then coming out, there are two sockets like this. It's a Y thing, kind of like the extension. So you'll have two of these coming out of it, so you could plug in this light and something else if you needed another 12-volt appliance, something to run. So there we go. There'll be lots of zip ties and maybe some duct tape holding things underneath those cable tie mounts that I'm going to put underneath and run the zip ties through. So that's kind of it. Too much detail, but you know, we'll see how it goes. So I'm not going to show you every step of the way, but I will talk it through just a little bit, okay? And so in a couple hours they'll be here and we'll knock this out pretty quick like.